I'm Vandita from Nature Mode, and we are here at our Vasant Vihar gallery for a walkthrough to celebrate our ongoing exhibition by Vandana Kothari titled All Colors Will Agree in the Dark. We have here with us Satyakam Saha, who will be leading the walkthrough along with the artist Vandana Kothari.
Welcome, good evening, namaste, hello, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us this evening online, and for folks who have showed up at the gallery space, thank you all. I'll be walking you through the exhibition space, and we'll just share our thoughts with Vandana in the making of these works, this body of work. So we can start with this work right in front of us. It's a landscape, very generic landscape work. Some of the things which come to my mind is the tactile surface, the usage of dots. Vandana, please chip in whenever you can,
Yes,
wherever
sure.
you think.
Thank you, everyone. I think we have some students. If they have any response, we can start from there. It's like a conversation, so nothing one way.
Certainly, we don't want to have a monologue here. I would like it to be participatory, where you can also
Can you just
throw in
introduce?
questions and whatever you feel about these works.
There's a lot of intricacy and delicacy in the work, and it's really neat, and I just am like amazed by the by the composition itself, and it's beautiful.
So I will start with the work itself, the way these works have been produced, what are the features of these works. Things like the strangeness of these works, the tactile surface, the unsettling quality. This is some kind of state of flux. These dots are in state of flux. Also, they are hybrid in nature. It's more about how Vandana came about these works. What was going on when you started?
I think particularly this work, it was my response to the Mumbai Sea, which I saw for the first time a few years back, and it was a little unsettling because you always have this romantic idea of sea being very clean and blue and beautiful, and the Mumbai Sea just like doesn't fit into any of these kind of romantic ideas we have. So it was muddy and a little stinky. So I had this very unsettling experience that our cities have so much ugliness all around us, and I couldn't not paint that. So when I came back, I had this sketch of this landscape of a distant sea seen from a hotel window. So the whole experience of not being a scenic view, how does one bring that?
Come to terms with it.
Yeah.
You also spoke about your multiplicity of experience.
Yeah, because generally we have some romantic ideas, even if we don't like. But when we are faced with reality, these ideas always don't have that kind of a beautiful experience. So your real experience is not always settling and beautiful and happy. So I wanted to bring that kind of shock. That how do you express something which is not beautiful, but you still had that thing as an impact on you. So you can't forget that also. Because I might have seen like 20 different sea beaches which are beautiful, but those didn't create any impact on me. But something so ugly and not beautiful created so much of an impact that I had to paint.
So in a way you were saying that you created something very special out of this very ordinary and mundane experience.
Yeah.
This is my view of how I look this body of work.
Yes.
Most of them are very generic. They're about still lives, they're about a figure in a backdrop with the tree. I understand that you have based these looks on your drawings, small sketches, right?
Yeah.
So can you share something about how you came about the subject matters? What were the triggers? Or let's go back all the way. When did you start this body of work altogether?
So this particular series of work is, 5 to 6 year long project.
Okay.
Like I started around 2016. So there are multiple experiences, not like one theme on which I'm working. But yes, of course, if we may say that there is a thread which connects all of these is my traveling through metro.
Okay.
So that monotonous speed of being in a metro, seeing the views from the same window and the same frame every time, but you are constantly moving. You're not standing anywhere and not like looking at anything for more than a second. So that was maybe the trigger point, that why this kind of pixelated paint I wanted to use, because the experience was quite mobile, it was not very static experience. And how can a painting bring that out?
So is that something of very conceptual nature, you think, in these paintings? The way I see your paintings have these three essential qualities, they are representational of your experiences in the city, of spaces, of your interactions with people. They're also abstract, of a very high order, and at the same time they're conceptual. So I feel these usage of dots, they've taken over.
Yes.
In the process of making them, they have become content themselves. The way you use these dots.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Because there are many ways one can bring that kind of transitory nature of things, right, which I wanted to bring out through these work. So I was experimenting with different techniques, and this somehow made me feel that kind of mechanical look but expressive surface can bring out this experience more strongly and intensely, which a city like Delhi always has to offer. It's not always very static, and it's not always very chaotic. You have all kind of spaces. So I think these dots give me that both the options, that at one level I can just look at it as a pattern, as a kind of surface making, but the colors I used. So the color interaction changes all the mechanical response to a work, because none of these colors allow you to see the painting in a very static way.
Yeah, that's the wonderful part of these paintings. The first impression when you walk in the gallery, you get a very mechanized feel that they have been printed on canvas, but the moment you come closer, you realize that they are hand painted.
Yeah.
And it almost seems that this contradiction you have about your experiences, but then getting back to the meditative part, like how you have painstakingly painted the dots,
Yes.
over a period of time. So can you share something about your process, maybe? Can we get into the process of how you went about?
Yes, so the process part also is like, it has both the things. When I'm literally painting these dots, it's like monotonous hours and hours of painting, shape, which is repetitive. And it's a very, very calming experience at one level, because I enjoy painting. So yes, all these dots are hand painted, literally, thousands of them, and I just love it, because this gives me a space where I can just submerge myself. So at that level, it's monotonous, repetitive, it's meditative, all of that. But as an image, when I want a certain experience to be, reflected through this work, there I don't have that mechanical approach. So maybe the colors I use, the scale of the dots, the grid, whether it is like very stable grid or it's a diagonal grid, all those, the entire image part of the canvas has to have that animated feeling. So there are a lot of emotions and a lot of interaction, changes, redo, paint over, everything happens. So it may look very mechanical, but it's not.
So coming back to this mechanical thing, were you aware consciously about Roy Lichtenstein's work or some other artists who you were looking up to or their process of working? Or were you trying to figure out how you would go about it?
Oh yes, of course.
Yes?
I love Lichtenstein's work and so many other artists also. So maybe at first glance people do connect it with Lichtenstein, but then definitely there are many directions which differ.
Right. His works are more like tongue-in-cheek, it's always about...
they are very different in content and in the way they are being painted.
Right.
All of
Your
it.
color palette is much diverse and the way you use dots.
Yes.
They're not as what Roy Lichtenstein would have.
Yes.
Let's talk about this work. This is still life. My impression when I saw this work for the very first time in your studio, right? It was very rigid. The moment I came closer to it, there was a lot of, freedom. Suddenly I found there was a lot of freedom to it. I found a lot of flux going on, Can you share something about the still life? Is there something special about the still life? What is that object right there?
So maybe
Anyone?
can we have an audience response to this, like how people look at this? Because there are many
Please chip in.
people, they say
Anyone?
different things here. So maybe you want to share your response. What do you see in this work? Can we?
So yes, when I started in the beginning, when I looked at this painting, to me it seems like a cat actually, with two eyes, that was yes, but later, I got to go into something else. So I guess, yes, it is different from everyone to everyone.
What do you see?
It looks like a fruit basket with grapes.
Interesting.
Yes, you?
It looks like a house kind of thing. Yeah, it's a lot of triangles and squares and all.
Wow.
This is where the abstract part of your work comes into play. People have to figure out. This is where I feel a lot of them have this strangeness. Some of your paintings, in a very good way.
Yes. And how many of you have gone close and felt like touching? Right? So if you come close, even the surface had a lot of relief. So at the overall level, it's definitely about abstraction. You have to forget the image at some part, but then you cannot separate both. At least I don't want to. So I want the object, the experience to be there till the end.
It's about seeing more in these paintings than the sum of its parts.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, both is important. Like I can't forget the abstract part, and neither can I, minus the representation part. So both works.
Which is the painting, which is your favorite painting?
My favorite painting is this.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about this painting. What makes it so special for you?
painting about, the idea of home. Because I think home doesn't exist as a physical, space for me. It's a space which is there in our conscience. And all the time it is always changing, sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly. So we have to shift places, shift homes, leave things, leave people. So that kind of fragmented, experience has always been part of my upbringing. So I have lived in multiple cities and, been
Yeah, you
shifting
often
from one
spoken
place to
about,
another.
you always felt fragmented about
Yes.
living in big cities. Often question yourself, who am I?
Yes, because you always want to connect to something and then you have to move. So that connection is there, but it's not so deep. Then again, a new place comes in and that affects you. So how do you deal with that? So initially it was very painful, but now I think everything has a certain connection. So this painting, initially when I started working on this series, it was more about the idea of fragmentation and how it affects me personally. But overall, when I kept on painting this series, I think I'm now personally more settled with this fragmentation. I'm okay, I'm not that perturbed. But yes, it remains at the underlying, emotion. So this painting has all that, like,
Ingredients, let's say.
yes,
Yeah? I just think you
I
managed
had
to
a
put it.
question.
yeah.
Like we see like a wide palette of colors in your works. So do you decide it intuitively on the go, or do you work with like a restricted palette of colors? Like it's more of an objective question, I feel. But yeah, I just wanted to know a little bit more about your process in that sense.
Because see, white is always a very, it's a potential space,
Yes.
right? You can use it as space, you can use it as color, you can use it as background. So it gives so much possibilities. Though it is not there, but it is there. So I'm very much aware of that white part of this, the color which is not visible.
Yeah.
But it makes all the other colors visible.
Yeah.
So it's consciously, planned that how much white I need. It's very important.
Mhm.
Like I can't just ignore the white.
Okay.
So it's a big, nice question.
Okay, let's talk about some of your influences, some of your inspirations, artists. They may not have a direct connection with your work, but certainly artists who you keep in your arc when you actually, think about what kind of work would you be compelled to look into, or their kind of work which you are closest to.
I think, there are few artists which I really, really like, but then it always shifts, because you get inspired for some time and then there are more artists you see and you like some more artists. So it's always like an increasing list of, creative people whom you would, you really appreciate and connect to. So in my case, yes, there are few artists which I really like, but then it's not like the only fixation to these artists. I keep shifting from one artist to another. So maybe initially I liked 𝘊𝘭𝘭𝘳𝘬 very much. In this context, this particular series of context, I was trying to understand how he is able to, bring that mechanical process into painting and still create something which is so vibrant, which is so human, right? So that connection was very intriguing for me because it's an impossible thing to do, right? So that part really was inspiring for me. But as far as image making is concerned, there are artists like, Cambridge, which are very, very like stylistically not connected here, but the process of making an image and changing and keeping the in-between process visible, that is something which I always enjoy. So in this context, maybe Nandalal Ghosh is another artist which I really appreciate and respect, because this whole idea of how does an image come into process, and that process can be left open. We need not have to, just close that process. So yes, few of these and many more.
Now we are here at this strange but cubist head. I mean, out of this whole group of work within the gallery, it's a very unique work. There is a head which is totally larger than life, right, in a landscape.
Yeah.
You can read it like that, is it? Anything special about this head? Were you really looking at Picasso's heads, or is there any connection?
Yes.
Definitely has that cubist feel.
Yeah, Picasso, like all of us have looked at Picasso so many times. You can't not have seen Picasso, and I really love his works, the dynamism and the kind of energy, variety, everything, so many things, and it's like a encyclopedia to learn from. So when I was a student, I had this interest in looking at artists and decoding their process, decoding their thinking, how one builds an image, interacts with life, interacts with people, what are the subjects of their painting. So self-portrait was a very common subject, and so many artists have created self-portraits in different ways. So this is self-portrait, but not just a portrait of me. Alongside there is another face which is part of me. So as a self-portrait, I don't think it's only one person that exists in you. There is a combination of people who make you feel complete. So it's a self-portrait.
In a setting which is
Yes.
totally out of whack, if I may put
So
it
that's
like
also
that.
part
It's
of you,
like,
because
it becomes like a sculptural head in a
landscape.
landscape.
Yeah, because
Sort
I
of?
think I am not just me.
Okay.
I just submerge myself in the environment I live. So for me, a portrait is not only about physical face, it's about who exists inside me and outside me. So maybe I was in Shantiniketan and landscape had a big role to play. So for me, a portrait will include all of that. So the background is very important, where this space is placed.
I would like to then jump on to that painting in the corner, the figurative work. This one has the least amount of color combinations, in a way. Were you aware of this from the very beginning, that you wanted a very limited palette with this painting?
Yes, because this image itself demands a certain kind of treatment, right? So I had this idea of painting this same image maybe in 20 different colors. So that is the idea behind it. And definitely this image needed only this much color, because it's about something abstract, something which is not very representational. It's about an experience of another, the same idea.
I also read it like the overlap of figure as a front view and as a side view.
Yeah.
Is that correct reading?
Possible, of course, why not?
Yeah.
But it's a self inside yourself.
Okay.
We always have this awareness of something inside us. Maybe whatever we may name it.
To me, these paintings, they're more about the technique. I also find a lot of texture. Some of these paintings carry this texture. I also find a lot of movement. In the very beginning, they look very static. When I saw them for the very first time in your studio, when I saw them in the gallery space, it was a totally different experience.
Yes.
They were in a state of complete chaos, where, there was a lot of flux, there was a lot of movement. So that duality in your work certainly keeps it in a very interesting space. And anyone has any questions, please chip in your thoughts, your impressions.
I don't know, you would like.
You use the right word, you said they are instead of flex.
Yeah.
And there's this scientist called Richard Feynman. He had a knack of explaining things in a simpler way. So he was talking about heat and temperature that doesn't actually exist outside. Like my body is having some, it is having some temperature because the particles are in a state of vibration. So the floor is also relatively cold, but that is also having some temperature because that is also in a state of vibration. It's a jiggling of particle. And if it gains more energy, it disintegrates into fire. So in a way, there is no difference in at a certain level. You can say that I'm different from you and the floor is different from me, but they are in a state of jiggling of particle.
Yeah, like constant vibration around you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would like to share something. So, I think you've spoken in complete detail, but little experience what I've seen from the beginning, like a child, when you look at sky and clouds, you can see that, it's continuously changing with different images, you can form different images, and you can see different things, forming different sizes, shapes. So what I see in her work specifically is like, if you look at the entire work, a part of it, because it's changing, it's, the new shape, new design. You can see whatever you want, if I put in the right word, like whatever you want to see, you can see. So that's the amazing thing. So you never get bored, that's what I told Vandana. So I never get bored of painting, probably, because every time it's new, it's fresh.
That's the abstract quality which I was talking about in the very beginning. The three different layers these works have.
Yes.
The representational part, the abstract bit, and the conceptual bit. The conceptual bit I find is the experience of your living and how you have kind of put it on these canvases. A lot of people have used dots, a lot of artists have, in different ways, and you have found your way of doing some thought, quotation, you kind of got into these dots in a very different way, how you use them, how you kind of...
They just got into me.
Yeah.
So Vandita, do we have questions online?
We are also taking questions like for a live audience. If someone wants to ask the artist something, then they can send us a direct message.
You have a question? No?
We can also talk about this work behind us. This is the interior of the room. Really, I see it's a dining table. Is it? With figures. Where was this? Where was this experience?
There's nothing particular, but yes, it's a swimming pool and open, lounge-like area where there's a dining space, and basically it's about this whole idea of food. How much food carry an emotion, It's a part of our day-to-day life. We express so many things through food. And two people interacting over dinner or lunch and, breakfast. So it is a potential space where a lot of emotions are exchanged. So that was the main idea behind this painting, rather than the setting. So that's why I've kept the colors very, bold and primary colors. So this whole dynamic
Yeah, the
interaction.
scale of these dots are much bigger in this canvas than other canvases.
For me, color speaks more than, the image. It is equally important how much intensity of colors can affect the subject and the way you want to express something. The same painting, if it was on like grey, so it will have a different experience. So it's mainly the colors.
Do you have any questions?
No, none as of now. So this is like then we are ending our walkthrough. Thank you everyone for joining us, like the physical audience and everyone who joined us online. Thank you so much.
We do encourage everyone to come and
Yes, definitely.
visit
And
the show
join us.
for this wonderful show. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.